Please don't forget subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to get notified of new daily videos.
My name is Noelle, and for the past 2 years I've been a night watchman at what used to be called the Blackwood Ironworks. It's a sprawling industrial complex on the outskirts of Oak Haven, a behemoth of rusting steel and crumbling concrete, all slated for demolition sometime next year. Most people would find the place unsettling, especially at night, but I'd come to appreciate its particular brand of quiet. It was just me, the rhythmic hum of long-dead machinery, and the distant, almost comforting drone of city traffic. My shifts were usually uneventful: punch in, patrol the sectors, check the perimeter, maybe read a few chapters of a paperback in the main office. The building was a maze of echoing halls and cavernous workshops, but I knew its every creak and groan, or so I thought. It was late Tuesday around 3 a.m. when things changed. I was doing my usual round through Sector Gamma, an old foundry area that hadn't seen active work in decades. It was always colder back there, with a metallic tang in the air. The silence was absolute, broken only by my own footsteps on the grimy concrete. Then I heard it, a faint, tinny melody, a child's music box. It was the kind that played a slightly off-key lullaby, saccharine and just a little melancholic. It sounded like it was coming from one of the derelict smelting pits, a good 50 yards away. I stopped dead, straining my ears. Had to be my imagination, or maybe some kids got in. Roderick, my old boss, always warned about trespassers. But kids, with a music box at 3 a.m. in the deepest part of the complex? I dismissed it, attributing it to fatigue. But then it played again, clearer this time, definitely from the pit. My heart started thrumming. I called out, "Hello, anyone there?" My voice was swallowed by the vastness of the space. No reply, just the echo of my own question, then the faint, repeating melody. I pulled out my heavy-duty flashlight and directed its beam into the pit. Nothing but shadows and a rusted grate. The music stopped abruptly. A few minutes later, as I was walking through the cooling tunnels, I heard it again. But this time it wasn't just the music box. It was intertwined with a faint humming, a familiar tune that I hadn't heard in years. My mother's lullaby, the one she'd sing to me when I was sick. A wave of cold dread washed over me. This was impossible. My mother was hundreds of miles away, and her voice, even an echo, shouldn't be here. I started to move faster, my patrols forgot. I needed to find the source. As I moved, the sounds began to multiply. A snippet of Clarissa's laugh, bright and clear but distorted, like it was played through a cracked speaker. Then a chorus of indistinct whispers, growing louder, swirling around me. It felt like they were coming from everywhere, from the walls, the floor, the empty air itself. The fluorescent lights overhead began to flicker erratically, casting long, dancing shadows that seemed to stretch and recoil with every new sound. I tried to call Clarissa, my friend, anything to ground me. My phone buzzed, but instead of her ringtone, static crackled, and through it, I heard a whisper, my own voice, distorted, saying my name. "Noelle, Noelle." I dropped the phone. It clattered on the concrete, the screen dark. I felt a presence then, not seen, but felt. A heavy, analytical gaze, as if something was sifting through the auditory tapestry it was weaving around me. I stumbled into an old locker room, barren save for a single, dented metal locker in the corner. I pressed my ear against it, and a low, resonant hum vibrated through the metal, deep in my bones. It felt like the locker itself was alive, breathing, echoing with the combined weight of every sound I'd heard, and countless others I hadn't yet identified. Panic tightening my chest, I sprinted towards the main control room, the only place in the complex with a reinforced steel door. I slammed it shut behind me, the heavy bolt grating loudly as I locked it. I leaned against it, gasping, the cold metal a small comfort against the chaos in my mind. For a moment, there was silence. Blessed, absolute silence. Then it started, a low rumble from outside the door, not physical but auditory. It began with the music box, then my mother's hum, Clarissa's laugh, my own whispered name, a schoolyard chant I hadn't thought about in decades. They converged, escalating into a cacophony of twisted memories, a deafening symphony of me. The steel door began to vibrate, rattling against its frame with an invisible force. I could feel the sounds pressing against it, a physical weight. A low, guttural gurgle echoed, morphing into a horrifying, elongated mimicry of my own ragged breathing. Then under the door gap, a sliver of darkness appeared, not just shadow but a shifting, liquid-like shape, briefly stretching and retracting with a wet, dragging sound, like something immense and formless moving on slick, dark surfaces. The door groaned again, bowing inward slightly, and I felt an icy coldness seep through the metal, a pervasive sense of imitation, of collection, pressing in. I didn't think, I just acted. There was an old, rusted exhaust vent high on the opposite wall, usually sealed. I frantically kicked at the corroded grate until it fell away, revealing a tight crawl space. Scrambling through, I squeezed myself into the dusty vent shaft, the sounds of my own terrorized life now a deafening roar behind me. I didn't stop until I burst out into the cool, pre-dawn air outside the complex, covered in grime and trembling uncontrollably. I saw nothing, heard nothing. The first light of day was painting the sky in soft grays and pinks. The Blackwood Ironworks stood silent and imposing behind me, a normal abandoned building. But I know what I heard, I know what I felt. The sounds are gone from the air, but they echo in my mind, a chilling symphony that plays on an endless loop. The silence now feels like a trick, a temporary reprieve. I got out, yes, but I left something behind, or perhaps something followed me out. I don't know if the complex was just abandoned, or if it was seeded with something waiting to collect new voices, new memories. All I know is sometimes when the house is quiet and the light is fading, I still hear a faint, off-key lullaby playing just beyond my hearing. And I know it's listening. I don't know if they're gone or if they just followed me home. Listen closely to the sounds around you, especially the familiar ones. They might not be yours alone anymore.
If you enjoyed this video, please hit the thumbs up button to like it. And please do subscribe to support the channel.